Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about how it is for parents both to be supporting someone in recovery or in active ED, and also how it's like to be a parent when you're the one with the active ED. So my most recent episode lasted over 5 years. Kids are like in their teens now, some of them late teens, and when it started, they were kind of quite small. You know, they weren't like really small, but you know, they were like in middle school. And yeah, it's been hard because in a ways I feel like I've missed some of them growing up. I wanted to explain how it is to be sort of like in the grip of an episode, and the misunderstanding that, you know, people think you don't love your kids enough. While loving your kids and doing it for them is definitely a good start, and it's helped me in my recovery, but also like that alone wasn't enough. It pains me to say that, actually, because well, it evokes feelings of helplessness, despair, because, you know, you think like if that's not enough, then just nothing will work. And it's very tempting to lean into it. So how old would they have been? Maybe like 12 and 9 or so when this most recent episode started. And it was hard. It was hard for me. I can't imagine how hard it was for them. One very poignant moment happened maybe 3 or 4 years ago. My daughter came to hug me, and she was like reluctant about it, and this is when my weight was really low. And she said, "Mummy, I can feel your bones through your clothes. I can feel your bones through your clothes, and when I hug you, and it makes me sad." That's what she said. It's more or less a direct quote from an 11, 12-year-old at the time. Yeah, it was hard, that. And, you know, comments like that about, you know, being able to feel your bones, see your bones, like, on some horrible level, usually those comments can be kind of enabling. I hate to say that, like, from anyone. It's part of the ED that loves that. But from my children, that's one voice where I never did love that. But although it hit home a lot and perhaps paved the way, that it wasn't enough at the time. So I thought I tried, but didn't start making any progress till, you know, 3 or 4 years later. And I was very hesitant about hugging them for such a long time because I didn't want to upset them. And that was, God, it was really hard for me. I mean, not being able to hug my kids. fuck knows how hard it must have been for them. You know, talk about being emotionally unavailable. That's how it must have seemed. Fucking awful. Other things that I had to, other like concessions I had to make that were awful, and still do now to some extent, because like I said in yesterday's video, I still have some residual disordered eating. Like, it's not that kind of disordered eating, but it's not quite right, you know. I said I'm like, eat like a hamster, throw it everywhere and fervently. Yeah, it's stuff like that, and like portion control and stuff. So definitely while I was in the episode, but still now I'm like, it's when I'm portioning up food and stuff for the family, I'm conscious that, you know, I don't want to give them the wrong impression, because like if I give them like too small a portion, like my type of portion, then that's kind of in a non-direct way telling them that any portion, the normal sized portions are too much. So I can't do that, but I was also wary of oversizing their portions, because I would give them more than I gave myself, and because I didn't have a concept, still don't really, to what is actually a normal portion, because anything normal just seems massive to me, and then massive is also massive. So yeah, I wondered whether sometimes I was giving them too big portions, and you know, they felt like they had to eat it or something to please me, or like there must have been some kind of underlying you know, kind of obligations that they may have felt like they had to fulfill. And it's a lot of second guessing, and it's tiring, it's exhausting. But yeah, unless you're lucky enough to be in remission, be in recovery, then it's something that has to be done, because if you don't, then you run the risk of giving them disordered habits. So that's really awful. This is like one of the worst things. I'll talk about body checking and other weird stuff on the next video, but one bizarre body check that I did a lot that involved other people was I like to be picked up and stuff, and I liked to ghoul at, you know, on like selfie mode like this, or something, when I could see myself, or just in a video, just when I was aware of how underweight I was, like how that would be accentuated by by standing around other people, normal people, and even that reverted down to kids, you know. So, you know, I'd stand next to my kids, who some of them at the time were prepubescent, and sort of be like reveling in that I was skinniest, and that's so fucked up. Yeah, that is something that I didn't realise I was doing. Or maybe I did on some level, but it's fucking insidious and horrible, and just, yeah. I'm glad that I don't do that anymore. How was it? Oh, picking up, yeah. I did allow them to pick me up a couple times, you know, like, yeah, bad. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to say about that, about being a mum with ED. So being the daughter, like all of us ED people, all of us ED folk have parents. Not all of us have children, but all of us have parents. Some more involved than others. Mine were quite involved. They didn't know how to deal with it. You know, I started when the program was like 13, started my bullshit at 14 and was diagnosed at 15. So quite early on, and I was a minor. I know it was really hard for them. They didn't know how to deal with it. They got angry a lot. You know, threatened me with hospitalisation, and they did kind of force me to go and get therapies and stuff. And at the time, I just wasn't interested in anything, and I was not very compliant. And yeah, I believe possibly, I know they were going through some difficulties in their relationship around the same time, because I went back to my old journals, my diaries recently. I still have them, yeah. And reading about stuff that I'd forgotten, and one of them was my parents having problems in their relationship. Could have been something different, but it's, you know, it probably put a strain on it, my bullshit, so I don't know if that caused that. Yeah, and I know that I remember also when I was maybe about to leave home, like in the late teens, and my dad being so angry at me. I don't remember what for specifically. I do remember what he did, and this was really not like him. He pinned me up against the wall, and he had a glass in his hand, and he smashed it against the wall in frustration. And my mum cried and stuff. It was really, really awful. So that's the kind of strain it puts on parents. As for the strain it's put on my children, oh, fuck knows. They don't voice it as well, as loudly as my parents did, obviously, and you know, like they're minors. But God only knows how it's affected them. Only thing I can do now is just, you know, pave the way for showing them that I'm well now and recovery is possible. Try to right my wrongs by doing right. Now I can't change the past. But yeah, you know, I mean, of course they don't really act out, because I guess on some level, probably more than I even realised, they're quite painfully aware of the situation and how precarious it was, and there must have been a fear of, like, you know, they do anything wrong, then it's going to have an effect on the mum and they might lose her, and that's awful. That if they did feel like that, for them to have to repress such strong emotions like that. So that is just really awful, and it's something that, you know, can't really ask them about, because then you're putting an onus on them to feel obliged to tell, and worrying about what the consequences might be and all that malarkey. So have mentioned to them, you know, I know it must have been stressful at the time, and that there is an offer for therapy, but, you know, we're not going to push them into it. I think the risk there is, like, you know, don't want them feeling like something wrong with them, because that tends to be what kids think. If you take them to therapy, they think that you're saying there's something wrong with them. So for that reason, we're not going to be too heavy-handed about it. But the offer's there. And just, you know, just try to live right now and stay well. And yeah, shoulder some of that burden, really, because you know, I say that, oh God, it just got to be well, like, knowing that's a huge pressure on myself. I feel like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. It's easier said than done. But, you know, who else is going to do that for me? And it's yeah, one of my motivations to stay well is to, you know, not have to put any responsibility on them, just let them be free and be kids, you know, and not have to worry all the time. So yeah, that is a motivation to stay well. Think about getting well and the motivation to get well. Like I said about the comment about my bones and how I wasn't effective at first. Didn't mean that I didn't love them enough. It's just I wasn't well enough to get there. It's like catch-22 situation. If you already are well, then it's much easier to stay well. It's easier to avoid a relapse. But when you're in the middle of an episode, then yeah, it's like, you know, there's that saying, like, if you have a little bit of money, you can always work up and get rich or at least comfortable. If you have none, absolute zero, then you're kind of fucked. And it's a bit like that with the ED. Like, if you're really fucked, then chances of getting well are slim, excuse the pun. But if you do manage to get well, then it's a lot easier to stay well. So yeah, I feel like I'm repeating myself now, so forgot what the next topic is, but make the next one. Sorry, I'm not as perky today. Don't know if you can tell. The uncomfortable, nervous laugh is obviously there, but I'm definitely less bouncy.